Good afternoon. This is Marilee Rosine Beasley, and I have a few more things that I want to share with you today. We are in Memorial Day weekend. Unfortunately, it snuck up on me because I've been spending a lot of time at my house doing other things. Of course, I live in an amazing place. I have a small lake right behind me, and I have the honor of seeing the birds fly and the ducks come by, and I'm so busy these days. I want to share with you some important things, or at least they're important to me. I love art. I love science. It's hard for me to figure out which I like best. My mother and dad were chemists, and their parents were farmers, so I was taught respect of the earth, and they were very frugal people, so I am doing my best to become frugal like they were. So anyway, I'd like to mention some things today. I'm going to recap and finish off some other things. So I grew up, I was born in Indiana, we flew to Indonesia, and then we came back. I grew up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and we moved there when I was about 3 or so. And when I was growing up, there were two major museums, Gilcrease and Philbrook. Philbrook was in a mansion that used to belong to, I believe, Wade Phillips, who that's Phillips 66 company, and my understanding is he donated a lot of land to the Boy Scouts, and that's what's called Philmont. All right, so I grew up when I was in 4th or 5th grade, I can't quite remember, somewhere about at that age, everybody would go to Philbrook and Gilcrease Museum. Now, Tulsa, Oklahoma is more or less in what would be called Indian country. And the 5 civilized tribes are affiliated with Oklahoma because at one time Oklahoma was Indian territory. So this right here, I bought this many years ago, this set of cards at Barnes & Noble, one of my favorite places, either Half Price Books or Barnes & Noble. This is a painting, Frederick Remington. And this is a painting from my childhood that's at the Gilcrease Museum, Tulsa, Oklahoma. So this is what I grew up seeing. Now here's another famous painting by Remington. Okay, and this one happens, the oil is in the Williamstown, Massachusetts Museum. Okay, it's there. Here's another one. This is in the Ammon Carter Museum, Fort Worth, Texas. The grass fire. Okay, this one is the oil on canvas is at West Point Museum Art Collection, United States Military Academy, and it's named Sunset on the Plains. All right, so these are the kinds of things one kind of thing I grew up as a child seeing. Now I also grew up with art from Indonesia because my parents lived there for a while. And so now it happens that, ironically, one of my sisters lives near Williamsburg. So I've been to Williamsburg many times. I love Williamsburg. I love going to see Amy Rockefeller's, I believe it's Mrs. Rockefeller's museum. I've been there a couple of times. These are some cards, Colonial Williamsburg. And this is one of those cards. Here's a magnolia, and it says here, known for its ornamental beauty, the magnolia adorned colonial gardens and homes. Its aromatic flower delighted the senses in soaps and fragrances, while the dried leaves stimulated the palate in teas, soups, and stews of the day. Here's another one, and it says, the pineapple, a sought-after delicacy in colonial America, was the ultimate symbol of hospitality used to create an atmosphere of good cheer. Now here's another card. Straw hats, a staple in the traditional wardrobe of a colonial lady, were often decorated with ribbon that can be used to tie down the brim under the chin or at the nape of the neck to prevent the hats from flying away on windy days. And today, here on the lake, this is a windy day for me. Okay, so anyway, just want to share with you, I had saved this. This is a card by somebody named Nicole. She was age 12. She's from Webster, Texas, which is near Clear Lake, Texas, which is in the greater Houston area, near NASA. Okay, and it says, proud to be American, and I've been displaying this for a while in my house, because to me, this is important. Okay, this is a card that this is from another one, Jessica. She was 17. She was from Mobile, Alabama, and it's called Peacock. I have, in the past, bought many cards from the M.D. Anderson Children's Art Project because I have known people who've been, involved with M.D. Anderson as patients. Here's some more of the Colonial Williamsburg. This is the Laurel Tree of Carolina, the water frog. This one says it's a duck, the natural history of Carolina, Florida, and the Bahama Islands. It was designed and engraved by Mark Catesby, 1683 to 1749, London, England. Okay, he was a British naturalist. He traveled to the New World to study and observe the flora and fauna. For 4 years, he painted the birds and flowers of Virginia and the Carolinas until his return to England, whereupon he taught himself to etch. Okay, and here's another one that he did, and it's called the Black Cap Flycatcher. Okay, so I like to buy cards when I'm at Williamsburg, I confess. Now, I've also been to Mount Vernon several times. It just so happens, ironically, that 3 of my siblings live in Virginia. 2 live in Northern Virginia near D.C. My sister lives in Chesapeake, kind of near Williamsburg. So that's why I get to go so often. Now, this is from Alaska. I've been now to all 50 states. I had been to about 48 by the time I was 18. I've traveled around the world, and I love to travel. Right now, I'm grounded because I had hip surgery November the 5th, so it's going to be a little while before I can get on a plane and fly that far. Although I love getting on an airplane, I bring books, I just settle in the seat, and I am so happy to be in a quiet area. Okay, so this is Memorial Day weekend. I was up at one of my favorite stores in the neighborhood, Dollar Tree, and I saw these, and I thought, why not? A dollar, and some tax, and I will hang them in my kitchen in honor of the military. And I just want to share with everybody, my father and my uncles on both sides of the family served in the military. And 2 summers ago, I asked everybody, when we gathered together in Florida, my mother was born on a farm near Waldo, Florida, which is 14 miles from Gainesville, Florida. It actually, at that time, had an outhouse. My mother's grandmother was one of the local midwives in the neighborhood, and she delivered my mother. And anyway, her mother had been a one-room school teacher. Her mother insisted that all her brothers, and they were all going to go to college, and my grandmother was a determined woman, and so my mother ended up born on a farm with an outhouse. She was working on a PhD in chemistry, where she met my dad, who was actually born in a hospital near a farm near Seattle, Washington, a dairy farm. So my father and mother met, and apparently they almost didn't get married because at the time, Dad's family had moved to California, and there was a big rivalry between California and between Florida. And so anyway, one of my sisters said, oh yeah, there was some big rivalry. They almost didn't get married. But anyway, I guess they did. They had me. We flew to Indonesia. So anyway, so that part, okay. So anyway, to move on. I have been to Asia many times. My husband's been to Japan 5. I've been there 3. And this was a card he sent to me on one of the trips where I was not there. I was working full-time for many years, so sometimes it worked out and sometimes it didn't. I love to go to other countries. I love to do my best to learn a few words of the language, whatever I can figure out while I'm there or before or after. So anyway, this is a card I've saved over the years, and I have had it in my bookcase where I like to keep special things, and I have a lot of things from Asia. Okay, so moving on, I just want to share some other things with you. Now, because I'm a reading specialist, because I'm a certified school teacher, besides being a registered nurse, I'm fully aware of different things, and I will put those things as resources. It turns out, for those parents who are aware, we do have some very special websites. One is in honor of John Newbery, and they give awards for the greatest book for children. John Newbery. Caldecott is another special website or person. Caldecott, John Newbery, Bluebonnet in Texas, Bluebonnet Books. Those are special. And just to let you know, to remind everybody, my granddaughter was a reluctant reader, and then she found the Rick Riordan books, and I still need to write him a letter and tell him what he did for her, Rick Riordan, because he wrote those Greek myths in modern day, and apparently he had a son who struggled with ADHD and dyslexia, so he made the main character have those issues too. So anyway, just to let you know, here's some books that I've collected along the way. I have a lot of books. Okay, Rick Steves, he's a dynamite, just dynamite. He does videos about places he goes to. I highly recommend anything Rick Steves. This is something that I'm not sure when I bought. I've gone camping twice in Europe. I took my 3 kids the first time. The second time I just took my daughter. We were there for quite a while. We did a combination. We landed in Shannon, Ireland, which is a fabulous place. If you don't know how to drive on the other side of the road, Shannon, Ireland is out in the country. At least it was then, and there wasn't anything around, and that's a great place to learn how to drive on the other side of the road. Okay, so anyway, my daughter got in the car, and we, on our way, we were on our way. And she did great. I did a tiny bit of driving while we were in Ireland. I didn't do it as great as she did, but anyway, she did live in eventually Greece for a year. She drove all over Greece for a year because a friend from my childhood that I knew since 2nd grade was in the Foreign Service, and my daughter lived with her and her 2 kids, and she drove those kids all over Athens, Cub Scouts, brownies, whatever, or Girl Scouts. Anyway, so my daughter is pretty fearless, and so I went to visit for a week. We went to Corinth in my friend's minivan. We, went around. I mean, it was amazing. So just to give you some highlights, because there's stuff all around. Now, I just want to show that this carnation is left over from last a week ago Sunday, Mother's Day. A wonderful friend gave me a bouquet, and what I did is this is the last I trimmed. I trimmed the bottoms, and I put things in the refrigerator at night while I was sleeping and kept everything cold. And this is some greenery from something else. This is some baby's breath from another arrangement. And so anyway, I trimmed it yesterday and got it out this morning. So, I just cut these as the best I can on an angle, because that gives more ability for a bigger surface area for it to work. Okay, now I found this in my yard. I do have some pine, this is from my yard. I do have some pine trees that were cut down. And then also this was a leftover thing. I'm going to plant some things in here as soon as I can, when I remember to do it. Okay, so anyway, I do go to Destin, Florida, go to Florida twice a year. My mom and dad bought timeshare at Sandestin, and so we go to Destin, Florida, and in July, there's a family reunion for my mother's side of the family. So this Lucy Buffett has these amazing restaurant in the Destin area called Lulu's, and I don't know where I was because I didn't realize she had this restaurant till a couple of years ago. So anyway, this past a few months ago when I was there, of course it was shut down for a while, and I got an email recently, Lulu's is open again. Yay. Okay, she has amazing food. This is Jimmy Buffett's sister, and she's got a background in coastal and southern, which my mother is coastal and southern. So this is food that I love, and it's familiar food. My dad was transferred to Louisiana when I was in college, and so this is the kind of stuff I grew up on, or some, although she's an amazing, Lulu is just, this restaurant is just amazing. I can't say enough great stuff. The customer service is great, the view is great, and I went there 2 or 3 times, the last time I was there for a visit, because I just couldn't get enough of Lulu, so I bought 2 of her books. Now, here's a book that I came across, Healthy Heart One Dish Meals. A friend gave me this cookbook that I'm gonna explore, because this is America's Test Kitchen, and it says the new family cookbook, so I just haven't had time to explore. This was a book that I brought back from, I love to sew, and I'm a quilter wannabe. I know how to sew a lot. So anyway, I fell in love with that book, and so I brought that back, so I just want to share that with you. Okay, so I'm just, have found some things as I've been looking and gathering things together. Now, I love to go to Adriatic Cafe, which is in the neighborhood, and it happens that they have mussels, and so I just said, I just got a to-go box and brought all the mussels home, washed them, and I'll do something with them, probably make some kind of decoration out of those. Now, I'm not sure too much about this, but on the bottom it said it's a Yankee Candle holder, and it's out of soapstone, and I'm not sure what that means, so I'm going to be researching this. And then here are some rocks that I've saved that were from something else. So anyway, when I have time, I'm going to check soapstone out. I like to conserve water, and I just take a little bowl like this, put it in a sink, gather some water. I can take that water, water the plants, and I have a fountain that's, the fountain is over there, and I take the water and I just pour it into a big, thing, that big water bottle. Then I just take some of that water, put it in my fountain a couple of times a day, put some vinegar so it stays kind of clean, because it's not trickling the way that I think it should right now. Okay, so anyway, moving on, just want to share with you some other things. Here is my daughter, many years ago. She did she sat for an artist, and she did this for me when my daughter was very young. Now, what I did is I have many of these. Oh, I haven't, I took many of these, and what I did is I made Christmas ornaments or things to put on a tree, and you could do this for something else. What I did is I took a lot of these, and I got these at Hobby Lobby, and what I did is I had several, and you could get maybe ones, little miniatures, and I had different little miniatures in different shapes. I have some of my sons, any family member that I could find. I created little ornaments to put on, whatever. And so this was by taking this, I Xeroxed it, we made it smaller, and now I have these delightful little things. You could do these if you have a baby, small child, and these could be gifts for your family. And so these are just some ideas. Now, to let you know some other things, these are magnolia leaves from a friend's yard, and I've mentioned this before. And so this, I just took some gold paint and brushed it on, and I'm going to, I got this at Hobby Lobby. Here's a paintbrush. I'm going to utilize this. And so what I'm going to do is, I'm not sure how I'm going to arrange it, but at some point I'll put it into maybe a container. So these are just some things to think about. Here is a child's book. It says here, the Caldecott. I have that, The Glorious Flight. Here's a box. I just thought it was beautiful, so I don't know yet what I'll do with that. I like to do glass art. This is the ginger ale I like to buy, and I noticed it has these beautiful things, this thing on it. It's from England. It's just great, and my understanding, I haven't researched it, is that ginger ale, this is real ginger ale, it's an anti-inflammatory. Some other things I want to share with you is I do take the Houston Chronicle. Unfortunately, right now I'm so busy, I haven't had time to stay up with it. And I also like to get what's called the Epic Times, EPOCH. Here's the Epic Times. I don't know if it doesn't come out daily. I do understand you can get a subscription. I have been buying it at the local CVS, and I found out my son actually has a subscription. Now, in my opinion, what we need to do is we need to get everybody outdoors. I've been telling that to President Trump for several weeks. Now, just to let you know a couple of things. Mark Lanier is my Sunday school teacher for 12 years. He has a class, and this is on my website. He has a class that meets at the main campus and then also Jersey Village. And there's also the Lanier Theological Library. And you can access everything at biblical-literacy.org. Everything's online. The Lanier Theological Library, you can also access that, laniertheologicallibrary.org, and there is the website. And then the Inc. magazine, I was asked to spread the word about that, and this is a newer card. And every American Friends of Tyndale House is P.O. Box 1062, Wheaton, Illinois. This is tyndalehouse.com/magazine. You can sign up, get it electronically. This is Tyndale House, Cambridge, England. So these are great resources, and I want you to know that Mark Lanier is doing the thought for the day almost every day. So I get on and look at him, and so anyway, that's a great resource. Now, I ran for city council. I ran for city council. I ran for state representative for District 135, which is my neighborhood or my community or my area. And what I decided, it was time to take a stand, because there were many things I did not think were right. I didn't think it was right the way that things were happening. So I decided it was time to take a stand. So I paid my grandson, who's almost 8, to make buttons. So these are leftover from buttons from my, when I ran for District 135, I paid him $1. His dad bought one of these kits. I think it had 1,000 buttons. So anyway, if people don't take a stand, if they don't put their foot down and say enough is enough, then the people that are in leadership are going to keep doing whatever they want to do. Now, these are some buttons. This is a button from when I ran for city council. Okay, so in Beasley for city council, I paid my grandson $1. So anyway, these are just some ideas. Here's some other things that I like to buy stickers. These are probably from Hobby Lobby, and some of these I've shown before. And then here is gemstones. I probably got that. I could have gotten that at Barnes & Noble perhaps, or Half Price Books. Here's another book from New Orleans, country, courtyard and garden. So anyway, these are just some ideas. There's lots of, I've already talked about getting games to play with kids, because the other day I did the Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader game somewhere. This right here is from Vietnam. A friend brought that back as a gift for me when she went on a mission trip. So I just like to save things and share with others. So anyway, just to let you know, I'm going to break these bottles. I do glass art, and there's a place in Destin, Florida, Grayton Beach, Florida, and it's called the Shard Shop. And I will put these things online for resources. So these are just some things you might do with your children. I have lots of ideas for books, and they're everywhere. So anyway, have a blessed week. Thank you.